last time and then didn't quite get to it. All right, so my lecture slides are reminding me that one of the things that we have to do is watch a movie about Hanuman Lakers. However, before I do that, I want to show you one of the charts that shows different kinds of social organization among primates. And these are very, it's almost like the taxonomy that we use from Linnaeus is old. These kind of divisions of primates into these groups dates back to the 1960s and 70s. And each group is much more complicated than these generalized categories say. So Noyau we actually call solitary. And what it means is animals that have females that live by themselves in their own home range. The home range is the area that the primates move around in and eat food in. And they may have one preferred part of that home range, and they may defend part or all of their home range. So you can see the female, and in this case they've shown orangutans, because surprisingly, in 8, orangutans are solitary. So there we have a female orangutan with her young, and another female totally separated, and then the male overlaps the ranges of both females. So this is a very unusual system because in terms of where they live, they're solitary. And a large reason why the orangutans are solitary is that the food that they eat, and they live in Southeast Asia on the islands of Sumatra and Borneo, the food that they eat is too widely distributed, and there's not enough clumps of fruit to feed these large animals in those forests. They can't live in big groups. There simply wouldn't find enough food in one place for everybody. So they split up and they divide. And that's how they live. But the male visits 2 females and doesn't just do that one year and it's random. No, he visits them for like his whole life, or the time period that he is overlapping his range with them. And in fact, I'm going to stop now to show you this little video clip that I called up about orangutan society. So this is about Kusasi, who's a dominant orangutan, and it gives you a very different image of what it means to be a solitary primate.
Like the fig and the jackfruit, and to remember which week of the year their fruit ripens in, timing their journeys perfectly. And as he roams, the young lone male tests his courage and powers, approaching females, seizing a chance when a dominant male's back is turned. But as a smaller male, he's not welcomed by the females. They protest and fight. To be successful, he must use force and speed. This is a high-risk strategy. Being caught by a dominant male could easily mean death. But as Kusasi grew bigger and stronger, so his confidence grew too. In 1995, Kusasi was 19 years old and ready to enter the big time.
When I left camp, Kusasi was still a sub-adult male. When I came back 3 months later, there was just this incredible transformation that had occurred. Finally, Kusasi, the chick patter. Kusasi had bulked up in size, he had muscles, and there was this confidence and serenity that he hadn't had when he was a sub-adult male. person. And the gleam in his eye is still there, stronger than ever. You can see it.
It's a male's cheek pads that signal to others that he's a contender for power. Cheek pads only grow if his testosterone surges to the highest levels. With these, and a throat pouch for the booming long calls, he's ready to fight for dominance. Kusasi would risk his life now to be king.
In order to claim his throne, Kusasi had to defeat the other contenders. The main contender was Yayat. Yayat had become stronger. There had to be a showdown.
Yayat was a few years older than Kusasi. Their previous fights had always ended in stalemate. Now, the violence escalated.
Fighting with Yayat became for real, absolutely for real. There were a series of combats over the years. Kusasi always won. The last combat was so severe and so brutal, so savage, that Kusasi almost ripped off Yayat's face.
Kusasi was no longer the chancing wanderer. These forests were his now, as they still are today. Kusasi is a king, but without an entourage. Like any adult male orangutan, he's solitary. He travels, eats, and sleeps alone. But he rules by fear. His distinctive long call announces his presence, encouraging females to come to him and warning other males away. He must stay on the move, patrolling his borders, keeping up his fighting weight. And his long struggle has always been about one thing. Throughout the 10 years of Kusasi's reign, he's fought hard for the right to mate and to pass on his genes. This is Siswi, one of Siswoi's daughters, Kusasi's adopted sister 20 years ago.
Siswi was one of Kusasi's favorites. They grew up together, but he did not regard her as a sister. They had a great deal of play sex together, and after Siswi became an adolescent, they had a lot of real sex together. He had sex with Princess, he had sex with Tud, he had sex with Unyuk, he had sex with Siswi. If there were a female in camp, he had sex with her.
Kusasi spends most time with females he's known the longest. It's as if, despite his solitary existence in the forest, he finds comfort in familiar faces.
Seeks out the dominant male with the cheek pads. She listens for his long call in the forest, and she frequently will move towards him, especially if he is close in the vicinity.
It's during these encounters that Kusasi shows a softer side, beyond the brute hostility of a dominant male. These females appear to be more than just sexual partners. They seem to be lifelong friends.
Kusasi has been in a position where the females want to mate with him. Sometimes the females almost offer themselves to him. They lay back, spread their legs, the welcome sailor position, and just wait for him.
Well, then there, Kasasi tried to bring Julia Roberts, but that's okay. Not kidding. He plays tricks with humans. He's not crazy about humans. But yeah.
Julia Roberts with the orangutan.
Because she likes them, and she went to visit, and because, I don't know if you're aware of this, but orangutan populations have been decimated by the cutting down of the rainforest. They've gone down, there's 10% of what existed 15 years ago. 10% of the orangutans are left, and they are probably the first ape that's going to go extinct. The other apes are right behind, and I predict that they will all go extinct during your lifetime. That is how bad. There was, with the gibbons, I went to southern Sumatra recently and read papers by a scholar, Susan LePan, and she had done her PhD work on the orangutans in southern Sumatra. When she went back, there were only 2 of the groups that she had studied left. So they are all dying from pet trade, people eating them, literally, and people wanting their land to turn it into farmland. So they cut down and burn. And climate change, where just like in California, the fires just start because of the winds and the heat. That happens in Borneo and Sumatra, so you get wildfires. And even if the conservationists have purchased forest and land, much of it is burnt down in the last 10 years. So it's a disaster. It's a complete disaster. The monkeys might do better because they kind of don't mind living near humans, and some of them, macaques and so forth, might be doing, but not totally. But the apes are doing extremely bad. The lemurs are too. Very, very bad. So that's why she went to help to fundraise to save the orangutans.